This segment has been brought to you by Coco Cafe. It's a cafe latte coconut water with espresso. And I came across this wonderful little drink just recently, and it has to be one of the best things I've ever had. I'm pretty obsessed with cocoa water and espresso, so the thought of it together was a little bit, I wasn't sure what I was going to get, but my gosh, let me tell you, it's super tasty. It's made with natural coconut water, a strong shot of espresso, and a splash of reduced fat milk. You can visit them online for more information at drinkcococafe.com. Once again, I want to thank everyone at Coco Cafe for being a sponsor of this radio show. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. This is A Taste of Dawn. I'm your host, Dawn Garcia, and this is a show about indulging in this crazy thing we call life. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another week. I first want to say that in the studio today, I have Andreas Dangond. You can say hello.
Thank you for having me again here.
You're welcome. And today we're actually not going to be talking about cooking with Chef. We are going to be tackling a much bigger issue. We're going to be talking about hunger and wastefulness, how to help people in need, the homeless situation in this country and in Los Angeles, and just what we could do to make a difference in our everyday lives. So I kind of wanted to start with just saying, I know it seems like a big issue, and one of the reasons, I mean, it's something I care deeply about, and I know you care deeply about. So, before we really get deep into it, just I know for me growing up, there was a lot. I grew up in Santa Monica, which has a very big homeless population, and hunger is very clear. And when we were kids, we used to once in a while go downtown Los Angeles, and there's Skid Row, of course, and there's a lot of rescue missions and things like that where people that were hungry could go and get fed. But now with the economy, it seems like it's 1,000 times worse. And anyways, what really inspired me to want to talk about it now is that documentary that I saw called Redemption. And it was about redeeming the cans and the bottles, and just how many people there are out there actually doing that to make a living because there's no work. And that's how they that's how they live, they eat, they are able to hopefully clothe themselves, take care of their families. And it was amazing because, and I said this, I know I was repeating myself, but there's just this scene that was really impacting where he walks up to this fancy chocolate shop, this gentleman who's living on the streets in New York, and he lived in the tunnels at the time. Mm-hmm. And he equates chocolate, this box of chocolate, that it's worth 450 cans, that it would take 450 cans to get this box of chocolate.
To buy.
Yeah. That's how much it was worth in cans. One box of chocolate, 450 cans. So you can imagine how hard that would be, how many hours that this guy would have to comb the streets of New York just to have enough money to buy a box of chocolate.
How many cans?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Well, bottles or cans, really. But he says cans, 450 cans, because I think that's where you get the most money from, is from cans, not bottles. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh my God, that's the craziest thing to really, then you start thinking about it, right? Like, God, we're spending a lot of money on, and I have a magazine based on high quality products, and a lot of these companies, which I love these beautiful products, but I wonder, how many of them actually can give back in return for their patronage, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And so you could kind of tell me a little bit about, I know your passion is this. So why don't you tell listeners a little bit about kind of your background and maybe like how it even became an apparent issue for you?
Well, I've been in the restaurant industry for a little bit over 12 years. And hunger for me comes from two things that make me go crazy, insanely upset, which is ignorance and waste. Those two things combined don't help. It goes against hunger, and it just makes me irate to see how those two things, ignorance with cooking and waste due to cooking, help people go hungry. And I say ignorance because, for example, with cooking, when you're following a recipe from a cookbook or something, sometimes the recipe, or you will do this naturally. For example, peel the tomato and take the butt off, or how do you call that? I call it the
The
belly.
core.
Yeah, the little.
Oh, the little butt up at the top. Yeah.
Yeah, how do you call that? I don't even know the word for that.
I don't really know.
Okay, I call it the belly button.
That's a good idea actually,
Okay.
because it's a visual.
So have you ever wondered why? Why do we peel the tomato? Why do we need
No.
to take that part off?
Why do we? Do we need it?
Absolutely, there's absolutely no reason to do that.
There's value in it. There's no it's not
No.
lacking nutritional value or anything.
And it's not lacking. It's quite the opposite. It has all the nutritional value, and it's not lacking taste or flavor or anything. Why do we take that off the tomatoes, for example? I'm also I give private cooking classes, and one of the things that I focus is I ask my students why are we taking, for example, the roots off a green onion? Why do we do that? Why do you do it? There's no answer.
Is it just visual though?
Not even because you're making a chimichurri with green onions or whatever. You're gonna blend that. You're not gonna see the roots. The roots taste like the green onion. There's absolutely no reason to do that. And the reason why I'm talking about waste in cooking is not necessarily because using those roots will solve hunger problems, but I think I can't find a better word right now, but I think wasting or throwing away those roots and the core,
It just starts a process.
It's disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like telling poor people, screw you. I have this core and I have this and I have the roots and I'm gonna waste it just because I can. While they would sacrifice so much to eat those roots, to eat the peel of a tomato, which has
just even for flavor in the food that they have rice or something.
Right. Last night I was doing at this private dining.
Yes,
thing.
which I attended.
You know, we had some camembert bruschetta with tomato marmalade.
Mm-hmm.
Any recipe will tell you, peel the tomato, take the seeds out, take the butt off, all those things.
Right.
Why? Seriously, why? There's no reason. I leave everything, even the seeds. They have flavor. They have. I don't
texture
and by doing that, I feel insanely guilty if I throw that away. And all of my cooking, my philosophy in cooking is no waste, using the whole ingredient as much as I can. So
Yes, which he got very, very angry because we couldn't finish our plates because my stomach could not handle large amounts of food. However, that's not because I wanted to waste it. I didn't really want to throw up. And then that would have been even a bigger waste.
You see, that's another problem that I'm even guilty of.
Overeating?
Well, yes, of course. But I don't know if the word is greed, but we tend to consume way more than we need.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we end up throwing away stuff. Like we buy 10 kilos of potatoes and half of it goes bad and we end up throwing. Why are we buying 10 kilos of potatoes?
No, I don't know. It's like Costco Haven. No, I actually recently, I mean, I have a little girl, so I kind of did this experiment because I was really trying to save money. And, when you're a single parent, money's tight. And I ended up going, I'm very conscious when I go to the grocery store now. And even if I have leftovers, I try to only get what I'm going to be able to use. And if it's getting down to the wire and I know I'm not going to eat vegetables raw, I'll just cook them.
Right.
Cook them in something and use it for 3 days. I don't care anymore. I'm okay, this is ridiculous. Why? Okay, so they give me a big bunch of cilantro. I could use the cilantro in something, right? Or I just put it in a shake. I just start, I bought a friend of mine gave me his bullet little blenders, right? So I've been using everything and making smoothies. And so I'm actually probably on a liquid diet unintentionally, but that's all I'm having is these smoothies because I don't want to waste this food. And my daughter, she always asks for, I want 10 chicken nuggets. I'm like, no, there's no way you're going to eat 10 chicken nuggets,
Right.
So we make 5 and then I have them there. I'm like, if you really want them, then it'll just take 10 more minutes,
Yeah, right.
But anyways, we actually have a caller.
Oh, cool.
So, when are we taking our break though? 3 minutes. Okay. So George, if you're listening, if you can just hang on until after the break so we can have this conversation without cutting you off. So hang on, George. So we actually have George who's going to be on the line in a second, and he worked at the Union Rescue Mission in Los Angeles. And that was a big thing for me too, because, they would use every spice, everything that they could to make a soup or anything, because they would be feeding all these people on the streets, and I do think that I don't know if it's just we're programmed to like discard certain ingredients, or because it's not, you don't have to be a trained chef to know, oh, you cut the ends off the celery, and honestly, some of it for me is taste. Like it doesn't taste the same, and that's different, but you can still use it to cook with, like in a broth or
absolutely. Well,
and freeze it.
I get very philosophical, and I ask myself a million questions about this. But we as chefs need to be responsible. I mean, we as chefs, we're looked up to by home cooks or line cooks at a restaurant. We are bombarded with a lot of questions about cooking and recipes. Hey, can I do this? What happens if I do this? We are responsible to tell people it's okay to do this. It's okay to use this. We're supposed to be teaching people, home cooks, a responsible way of cooking.
Yeah.
If a cookbook says like cut the end off the celery thing and throw it away, why? That's
right.
That should be like criminal. That's like
yeah. Well, no, you know what? It's true, because we have famine. It's funny, not funny, haha, but just like it's crazy to me that people don't even. There's no thought process. Mm-hmm. I mean, we both have clients and friends that have the money to just get it and not care where it goes or what happens to it. And I think if they just took half the groceries that they had, that they threw away, half of what they were throwing away, which is unused in perfect condition.
Statistically, a third of the food goes to waste. A third. That's a lot.
Wow. That's disgusting, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and then you have, we have 1 minute left? Okay. So, there's Cheryl wants to know, who is this amazing man that I'm interviewing? This is my very good friend, Andreas Dangond, and one of my favorite chefs. So, he's Colombian and French.
Well,
more Colombian than French.
French descent.
Of French descent. Yes. So,
oui.
But oui.
And I don't speak a word of French.
A little bit. You understand some things.
Oui.
Un petit peu. Yes. So that's kind of where this whole conversation started. Was when we met. Mm-hmm. That was like we had these big, heavy, heated discussions about stuff like that, about wastefulness, and he feels the same way, by the way, not just about food, but about water. And
I just hate waste. I become a psychopath when I see something being wasted.
He really does, just for the record.
Yes,
he gets very angry and very impassioned, which is how I get when I'm talking about social issues like poverty and the job market and how people treat one another and how we discard human beings. So, and we're covering all of that today. So two people very passionate about how others are treated and how they treat things. So we'll be back after this. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, this is your host, Dawn Garcia, on ATOD Radio, savoring life one moment at a time.
Hi, I'm Aaron Michael Sanchez.
And I'm Kelly V. Dolan.
And you can listen to us every Thursday at 2 p.m. right here on KCAA Radio. What do we talk about, Kelly?
We talk about everything from entertainment to business and tech, and we have a few laughs in between.
And we dance a whole lot. In fact, if you want to watch us every day, you can go to AaronandKellyLive.com. That's AaronandKellyLive.com.
Check it out.
This is Anthony Sykes, your host for Sykes Accounting and Consulting radio show, where we help small businesses grow and give you tax tips every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Catch us here on rantradionetwork.com. Thank you.
We are the Three Guys every Monday live from 6 to 7 p.m.
You can call us at 855-69-THE3 Guys.
It's not the three guys. This is why you should turn in, because one has Tourette's. The other one's illiterate.
You really should listen in. You never know what's going to happen.
855-69-3-GUYS. G-U-Y-S and the number 3, not the.
Faces for radio, voices for the deaf.
Look forward to talking to you.
Hey, I'm audio candy. I don't know about you guys.
This segment has been brought to you by Coco Cafe. It's a cafe latte coconut water with espresso. And I came across this wonderful little drink just recently, and it has to be one of the best things I've ever had. I'm pretty obsessed with cocoa water and espresso, so the thought of it together was a little bit, I wasn't sure what I was going to get, but my gosh, let me tell you, it's super tasty. It's made with natural coconut water, a strong shot of espresso, and a splash of reduced fat milk. You can visit them online for more information at drinkcococafe.com. Once again, I want to thank everyone at Coco Cafe for being a sponsor of this radio show. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. This is A Taste of Dawn. I'm your host, Dawn Garcia, and this is a show about indulging in this crazy thing we call life. Hi, you guys. So we are back, and I actually have George Kardousy on the line. Let me get George on the line. Hi, George. Hello. Hi, how are you? You are so welcome. So I know we have to catch up anyways, but I wanted to say thanks for calling in, because I don't know if you were able to listen to some of the stuff that was happening on the air, but we're talking about...
Listen, actually.
You did?
Yeah, wonderful. I was enjoying the conversation.
So tell listeners a little bit about your background and how you came to be involved with the Union Rescue Mission.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm an engineer. I'm a chemical engineer working in the alternative energy field. And back in 1988, I went to a very fancy breakfast meeting in one of the really cool restaurants in downtown LA. And when I was leaving that meeting, being a young engineer, I was confronted by a homeless woman who was crossing the street, and it seemed like the whole world was just passing her by. And that really touched my heart, and I wanted to do something about it. I drove to my office in Orange County, and not knowing what to do, and being moved, I called the Union Rescue Mission, and I just said I just wanted help. And they invited me in, and I went in the next day to meet with their volunteer coordinator. And he read to me a passage from Matthew's Gospel where he said, when I was thirsty, you fed me. When I was you gave me something to drink. When I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. When I was in prison, you came and visited me, and on and on.
Right.
And the response of the people said, well, when did we do that? And the king responded and said, when you did this to the least of my brothers, you did it to me. And that phrase right there changed my life, because I think we being the richest culture in the world, we have so much abundance of everything, but yet right here in our backyard, we have people that are hungry, that are starving, that are lonely, that need something, and we just seem to pass them by. And I was really moved at that point to do something about it, and not knowing what to do, I found the Union Rescue Mission to be an excellent vehicle for me to be able to serve.
Yeah.
And that was almost 25 years ago, and I'm still involved in service with different organizations, but the Union Rescue Mission is still one of the organizations that I serve with. And I'm absolutely astonished by what they're able to do with very little.
Right. And that's, I grew up in Los Angeles, so I was very familiar with Skid Row, and even as a kid, I used to actually go down to Venice a lot. And when I was a teenager, I would ditch school all the time. And I ditched school, and I'd go down to Venice, and I would make sandwiches and take them to people. And it was so, some people on the streets, they just, whatever. Some of them, that's not really what they wanted. But for the most part, I'd say not one person was ungrateful. And it was probably more rewarding for me than it was for them. Yeah. Because I thought, gosh, they just need somebody to be nice. And sometimes they would be so surprised. And I had some of the best conversations in my life with these guys, men and women on the street. Some of them were my age. Some of them were families that just, had nothing. And not all of them were drug addicts, and it's not really what everybody thinks. And some of them had mental health issues. And Some of them just
Absolutely.
lost their way in life and struggled. I mean, and now I think, gosh, you must see it now so much more. I mean, there are people who were doing very, very well who now
That's
have
right.
nothing because of the tanking of the economy, lost their homes, lost their jobs, lost their families, and they're just trying to survive. I feel like there's, the survival mode is very, very prevalent, and and it couldn't be clearer than it is in Los Angeles, where we are at least. It's everywhere. I mean, Santa Monica is a perfect example. There's so much affluence, and then the rate of homelessness is astounding in Santa Monica.
Absolutely.
And they go ahead. Sorry.
And I was just going to say that you have Skid Row right there on San Pedro and 6th in downtown LA.
Yeah.
And if you move just a few blocks, up to 7th and
It's a financial district.
The financial district.
Yeah, which is the most
What
staggering reality. It's funny too. I mean, there's that where the police station is in downtown,
Yes.
and then there's like that. It's kind of right across the street. There's guards. There's the city who can't fund. They don't have enough funding to police the streets, so they have those. I forget what they're actually called, but they wear the purple shirts.
Yeah, I don't remember. I've seen
Yeah,
it.
and they help police the streets as well, and then they just sort of kind of take care of some of the people on Skid Row.
Yeah.
They don't let them drink, but they make sure that they have food. It's like all these, there's a lot of outreach programs, but I just feel like now it's almost, there's so much need. It's hard to keep up.
That's right.
So can you just tell that story really quick that you told me about your daughters?
Oh.
Because that's such a great story. Just really the impact, how I feel like we need to teach our kids to be of service and be really aware of how to help others.
And I think you hit on something very important, is that when we help somebody else, it changes us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it gives us, I think one of the things that's missing in our culture is really having a heart of compassion.
Yeah.
But what I've seen is that a lot of people have compassion. They just need to be able to have a vehicle and outlet to do it. And one of the things that we've tried to do with our kids, and I have two wonderful daughters. One is now 15, the other one is 13. When I've taken them down to Skid Row, I volunteer with an organization called New Salvation Ministries, and every second Saturday we go to Skid Row and we pass out food and hygiene kits and a whole lot of other things. And my daughter Allison was 10 at the time, and she
Love this story, by the way.
And I told the kids, and I prepped them. And I took my kids and a whole bunch of other kids. I think we had a total of about 20 or 25 kids.
Is this before the runaway, by the way?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a different story.
Yeah. Okay.
So I told them, I said, try to find out people's names, because being on Skid Row, being homeless, there's a certain sense of dehumanizing effect that happens to you, because imagine walking around for days and nobody even knowing your name, nobody mentioning your name. I said, try to find out your name, call them by their name if they're okay with it, and try to be helpful as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter Allison, was 10 years old, and she decided to volunteer on her own down at the station where we pass out clothing, and she noticed this one older lady, and she walked up to her and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, what is your name?" And she found out her name. "May I call you by that?" Yes, you may. "What can I get for you?" And the lady said, "I would like to get a blouse or a shirt or something like that." And Allison found out her size, and she dug through the clothes. She just basically jumped into a pile of clothes and dove into it and found something, pulled up this blouse and held it up to her, and she says, "Ooh, this would look so good on you." And I thought, here's a 10-year-old that gets it. She's not afraid to help. She just gets it.
I think it's amazing. I mean, my daughter asks me questions about things, and and I always tell her that just always say hi to everybody, because that one person that you say hello to can make all the difference.
Yes.
And she saw somebody recently when we were in Santa Monica, and she said, "Why, Mommy, why are they, sleeping outside?" And I said, "Well, baby, they don't have a place to live, and times are hard for them right now." And I said, "But wouldn't it be great if we could find a blanket?" Because it was freezing that night, and so we were like looking all over, and unfortunately, it was a Sunday, so a lot of the shops and stuff were closed, and but she's like, you know what, Mommy, we need to come back and we need to start giving them blankets. And
Oh,
she's
my
6
goodness.
years old, you know, and I thought I'm so grateful that she sees the world like that. And I had this experience in downtown where I used to spend quite a lot of time downtown LA and take the subway and, you know, and coming back from the subway station from Hollywood, walked by Ralph's on 9th. And there's a lot of homelessness around 9th. And this one gentleman stopped me, and he's, you know, I was all like fancied up and I had no money, I had nothing on me. I just had this flower in my hair. And I think I've told the story on the air already, but anyways, and he said, you know, hi. And I said, hi, you know, how are you? And he was so surprised that I actually asked him. And then he says, well, I'm fine. And then he kind of thought that I was going to go away. And I said, well, it's cold. Is there anything that, you know, are you hungry or anything? Is there anything that I can get for you? And he was like, okay. And I said, well, do you want food or, you know, whatever? And he's like, well, you know, can I be honest? I said, sure. What do you need? And he's like, you know, honestly, I don't really need food. I would love to have a beer. And I said, okay, what kind of beer? And he's so hesitant and looking at me like, is this a trap? You know?
Yeah.
And I said, look, I'm not going to judge you. If that's what you want to do and that's really what you're going to ask for, then you know what? Who am I to sit back and say, like, that's not the right thing?
Sometimes I would kill for a really nice
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then I said, he goes, you know, well, let me tell you. And then he tells me this story about how he was in Vietnam and, you know, and he was a man of color. So he said, you know, times were very hard and it was very hard for us to come back after Vietnam because there was such an issue of racial segregation. And, you know, even though there was all these movements, it still wasn't really together yet, you know? So he's like, not only did I come back to that, he's like, but I watched all of my friends die. And he said, I just can't stop that thought process. I can't stop thinking about these friends, you know? And he's like, and I will never get that out of my head. He was the most well-spoken, kind man. And then, you know, and then he went to shake my hand and I said, well, do you want a hug? And he was so like, he's like, you're not afraid of me? I said, no. And then he, you know, his name was Clarence, and I'll never forget that because he's, you know, I kept thinking of It's a Wonderful Life, you know, and and here is this man, and I mean, I went back that night, and I'm like, you know what, we need to stop and do more for each other, you know. I mean, I didn't have cash on me, so I couldn't give him cash. You know, a friend of mine had a card, so it's like, let's go buy him beer, you know. And that one moment, it was like, okay, we all need to be doing this more. You know, none of us have much. I certainly don't have much, but I know I would rather give it to somebody like that, you know, that's actually honest and asking and just not feel like, you know, I think some people are so afraid, like there's some kind of disease or stigma attached to it. It's like, God, these are human beings. We need to get over that, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
and compassion is so important. Having compassion
empathy.
is so important.
Empathy.
And,
you know, I think that's the one thing that we lack the most. We live in a very apathetic society. And everybody's so caught up. I mean, in Andres, you were going to ask him something. I don't want to have to go. We're going to have to go.
I forgot. But what I say now is I applaud what you're doing, George, and I think the world needs more people like you.
Absolutely.
You're an absolute role model for that.
And while we're on the air, will you do me a favor? Because, you know, now there's like a greater responsibility. Could you help me organize like a volunteer day?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, then let's work on that. We have to take our next break, but let's work on that off the air, and we'll do something so we can do something downtown together.
Oh, I would love that.
Okay, thanks so much, George. Have a really great day.
You too.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, this is your host, Dawn Garcia, on ATOD Radio, delivering life one moment at a time.
Hi, I'm Aaron Michael Sanchez.
And I'm Kelly V. Dolan.
And you can listen to us every Thursday at 2 p.m. right here on KCAA Radio. What do we talk about, Kelly?
We talk about everything from entertainment to business and tech, and we have a few laughs in between.
And we dance a whole lot. In fact, if you want to watch us every day, you can go to AaronandKellyLive.com. That's AaronandKellyLive.com.
Check it out.
This is Anthony Sykes, your host for Sykes Accounting and Consulting radio show, where we help small businesses grow and give you tax tips every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Catch us here on rantradionetwork.com. Thank you.
We are the Three Guys every Monday live from 6 to 7 p.m.
You can call us at 855-69 The Three Guys.
It's not the Three Guys. This is why you should turn in, because one has Tourette's. The other one's illiterate.
You really should listen in. You never know what's going to happen.
855-69-3-GUYS. G-U-Y-S and the number 3, not the.
Faces for radio, voices for the deaf.
Look forward to talking to you.
Hey, I'm audio candy. I don't know about you guys.
This segment has been brought to you by Coco Cafe. It's a cafe latte coconut water with espresso. And I came across this wonderful little drink just recently, and it has to be one of the best things I've ever had. I'm pretty obsessed with cocoa water and espresso, so the thought of it together was a little bit, I wasn't sure what I was going to get, but my gosh, let me tell you, it's super tasty. It's made with natural coconut water, a strong shot of espresso, and a splash of reduced fat milk. You can visit them online for more information at drinkcococafe.com. Once again, I want to thank everyone at Coco Cafe for being a sponsor of this radio show. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. This is A Taste of Dawn. I'm your host, Dawn Garcia, and this is a show about indulging in this crazy thing we call life. All right, you guys, we are back, and before I have Keith on the line, and Keith Rydh, who's going to be talking to us from Can Change Huner. He works with that organization. But I just wanted to give a couple of staggering statistics. So I don't know if you've seen some of these signs, but in America alone, 1 in 6 people go hungry. There are 870 million people in the world that do not have enough food to eat, which is just honestly, that's just disgusting. And that is from 2012, from the State of Food Insecurity in the World. It says the vast majority of hungry people, 98%, live in developing countries. So it's not the underdeveloped third world countries that everybody thinks. Only 15% of the population, we're almost 15% of the population are undernourished. Asia and the Pacific have the largest share of the world's hunger. But women make up as little as over half of the world's population, but they account for over 60% of world's hunger. So that is 60% of the women out there that are in that category that are going hungry. And that's really unbelievable. So, and then 1 out of 6 children in developing countries are underweight, which is roughly 100 million children. So there are some serious issues that we need to tackle, and this is just a great platform.
And there's an obesity problem here.
And there's an obesity problem. Yeah, God, how's that for contradiction? Okay, I'm going to get on the line with Keith, so just give me guys 1 second. All right, Keith, you are on the air. How are you? Oh, hello. Oh, Keith, there you are. Are you there? Hello? Keith? Keith? Oh, yeah, I can't hear him. Hold on 1 second. Let's do this. Take it off. There we go. Are you there now? Technical difficulties? Hi. Hello? Line 2?
3.
Hello? All right. We're going to have to work this out. I can't get him. All right. We will get you on the line, Keith. I'm not sure what happened there. Can you check it on your end? Okay. So anyway, why don't you talk a little bit while we're doing this? Because you saw a lot of waste in the restaurant.
Yes. Well, I want to go back just a little bit to.
Okay, just watch. Yeah.
To the waste problem. You know, I love Spain.
Yes, I love Spain, obviously.
Every year there's a festival called La Tomatina.
Oh my God! Yes. Okay. Thank you. We have him back on the line.
Okay.
So, but you guys can talk about it because you guys are both chefs. So, hang on.
Okay.
Back on the line. All right. Do we got you on the line now, Keith? What is going on? Hello. Hello. I don't know why we're having issues. I'm on line 1. Hello.
Okay, I can hear you now much better.
Now I can hear you. There you go. All right, we're back. Okay. So how are you? Sorry about that.
Doing great. Technology's fun, isn't it?
It really is. Gotta love digital media. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then and then maybe you and Andres could actually talk about this, because he was just talking about the Spanish, the tradition where they throw, I don't know how many millions of tomatoes.
several hundred thousand.
Several 100,000 pounds. Okay. So anyway, so go ahead. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Okay, I've heard about the tomato thing too, but my name is Keith Rydh. So I'm the founder of a for-profit company called Foodies USA, and we also have a non-profit company called Foodies Care, which has a mission of helping to relieve hunger in America. And we do that by supporting community cafes, which is a unique and popular growing way to help feed those in need in a dignified manner. And we do that once a year with our annual month-long charity event called Can Change Huner, which we try to end on October 16th, which is World Food Day.
Ah, that's good timing. So, okay, and then You Can Change Hunger. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I was reading a little bit about that online. And is it a group of just chefs and foodies together, or restaurants that pool together, or just anybody who's interested?
All of the above.
Okay.
The main idea was to spread awareness, gather food for food banks, and raise funds, like I mentioned earlier, to open, hopefully, a community cafe per year in a place that it's needed. So we're only basically a year old, and we did this last year with an interesting amount of success, where we want to get restaurants involved to where maybe one day during the campaign they'll dedicate a percentage of their sales and donate that towards the cause. And we've also got a lot of other local businesses in the community that just wanted to, help out their own community, and they've chipped in. We had a food truck rally. We even had Carnival Cruise Line give us a free lunch. We had about 90 people make a donation to have this excellent 5-course lunch with wine. And all they had to do was take a tour of the ship, and everybody just had a really good time. So we like getting creative with it, where the people that can enjoy food and drink like we do and feel good about giving back to those who can really benefit from what we do.
Do you work with any of the local communities to donate the leftover food or the things that are not? Do you guys do anything like that, or is it just creating? You're working to create. I just want to be clear on what it is. So the community center, would that be where people who are hungry can go for a free meal, or?
Right, a community cafe. The most popular one is actually run by John Bon Jovi in New Jersey, called Soul Kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And if you went into the little restaurant, it would look very much like a Panera, very artistically decorated. So the idea behind it is everybody goes in and gets healthy, delicious, chef-inspired meal, but there are no prices. People just make a suggested donation amount, or the people that can't afford it will just sit alongside people that maybe can, and they volunteer at either the restaurant or in the community for their meal. So it's really a dignified way and a huge step away from a soup kitchen.
Right. So, and now where are you focusing the next community cafe? What city?
Well, we want to open it in our hometown of Jacksonville, Florida. And then after we get the first one, we expect we'd get a lot of momentum to then see where our foodies are at that really want to have a cafe in their community. There's just, unfortunately, like you mentioned from those statistics, too many people that could use one of these.
Now, do you know what the statistics are in Jacksonville of those that are going hungry, or those who maybe are in poverty, or just in a situation where they can't get what they need? I know every city varies, but
yeah, we use the basic same national number that you started the segment with.
Oh, the 1 out of 6.
Right, and what's 1 in 4, 1 in 5 of them are children that are in need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says actually undernutrition contribute. This is a global reference, but 2.6 million deaths of children each year, which is a third of the global population. No, not the population. Sorry, global total of hunger. And then in the United States, it says in 2011, almost 50%, actually, 46.2 million people. No, I thought that was a percentage. Sorry, you guys. 46.2 million people were in poverty. And that's I can't imagine how high that must be right now, because the job market has only continually gotten worse. Look at places like New York, right, who have been devastated with weather conditions, and people have lost everything. And these are people who may have been very affluent, who are now in an entirely different bracket that they never expected to be in. Are you there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I have a question for Keith.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a question. I had the fortune and misfortune of working at a corporate restaurant group, and I say misfortune because it's just a horrible place to work at, and fortune because I could see the horrifying rules that they have about food and what they do with whatever's left over. Every single day we would throw away hundreds of pounds of perfect edible food, frozen or already cooked.
Wow.
And I know that one of the reasons why these corporate groups don't donate that food is because they are afraid of getting sued.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's BS, absolutely, because there's a lot of people just dying to eat one of those frozen sandwiches that, and why are we throwing away frozen food? It's perfectly frozen. Why are we throwing it away? It makes no sense. I've always wondered, why can't a group like yours, Keith, organize some sort of transportation, can go to these places and just take that frozen food that they're about to throw away because it has a very limited expiration date, and take it and put it in good use instead of putting it in a landfill and let it rot.
Didn't Jamie Oliver actually do an entire show based on this?
I have no
I mean,
idea.
not the entire series wasn't based on this, but he actually devoted an episode to the wastefulness in restaurants.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it was heartbreaking, and I was forced to do it because I was their employee. I would seriously take
Big
6 cans of garbage and just fill it up with perfect food and throw it away.
Ugh. Keith, I just wanted to tell you, I was able to pull up a statistic. It's 16.2%. In Florida, it says that 7 states exhibited statistically significant higher household food insecurity rates, and one of them was Florida, and it was at 16.2% in 2011. So
Wow. Okay.
again,
I know we're in the right area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I can only imagine that it's higher now because of the job market. I'm curious to see what last year I think was the most depressed that we've seen. Because of weather conditions in addition to the job market, even though they say it was on a steady climb, I don't think anybody actually believed that.
None of the real people felt that.
No, yeah. Nobody that's not in Congress trying to pass legislation and appeal to lobbyists.
Wait, I want to go back to what I was trying to ask Keith, if I may. Keith, do you think it's possible to organize something like that where, a group like yours could go and save this food from being wasted? I mean, because not even the employees are allowed to take this food home. I mean, they waste it. It's like corporate malice just to be. And
I know he wants to.
I've come across that from corporate chains that do exactly what you said. If it's sitting on the shelf for so long under a lamp, they can't just give it to somebody outside that needs it. They have to throw it away. I think there'd be a lot of corporate red tape to somehow change that, but I agree. It's an unnecessary waste. And
right? Can they sign a waiver and say if you get sick, it's not our fault?
Is it an FDA rule? Is it an FDA issue?
I think he hit it right on the head. It's more of a legal. If somebody gets sick, then they can sue. And
what if an organization is willing to sign a waiver?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
If they could sign a waiver, then why wouldn't it? I don't know. I mean, I know this is probably
free that company from any negative thing that could happen.
All right, you guys, we actually have to go to the next break. Keith, thank you so much for calling in. What's the best website for you?
www.foodies.usa.com, and if you go to /hunger, that has the details.
Okay, I actually have that up on. I have that up right now as well. So, okay, I just want to make sure that there wasn't any. And thank you so much for taking the time to call in, and we will make sure we keep getting the word out.
Sounds great. We'll be in touch.
Thank you so much, Keith. Once again, this is your host, Dawn Garcia, on ATOD Radio, savoring life one moment at a time.
Hi, I'm Aaron Michael Sanchez.
And I'm Kelly V. Dolan.
And you can listen to us every Thursday at 2 p.m. right here on KCAA Radio. What do we talk about, Kelly?
We talk about everything from entertainment to business and tech, and we have a few laughs in between.
And we dance a whole lot. In fact, if you want to watch us every day, you can go to AaronandKellyLive.com. That's AaronandKellyLive.com.
Check it out.
This is Anthony Sykes, your host for Sykes Accounting and Consulting radio show, where we help small businesses grow and give you tax tips every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Catch us here on rantradionetwork.com. Thank you.
We are the Three Guys every Monday live from 6 to 7 p.m.
You can call us at 855-69 The Three Guys.
It's not the Three Guys. This is why you should turn in, because one has Tourette's, the other one's illiterate.
You really should listen in. You never know what's going to happen.
855-69 3 Guys, Guys, and the number 3, not the.
Faces for radio, voices for the deaf.
Look forward to talking to you.
Hey, I'm audio candy. I don't know about you guys.
This segment has been brought to you by Coco Cafe. It's a cafe latte coconut water with espresso. And I came across this wonderful little drink just recently, and it has to be one of the best things I've ever had. I'm pretty obsessed with cocoa water and espresso, so the thought of it together was a little bit, I wasn't sure what I was going to get, but my gosh, let me tell you, it's super tasty. It's made with natural coconut water, a strong shot of espresso, and a splash of reduced fat milk. You can visit them online for more information at drinkcococafe.com. Once again, I want to thank everyone at Coco Cafe for being a sponsor of this radio show. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. This is A Taste of Dawn. I'm your host, Dawn Garcia, and this is a show about indulging in this crazy thing we call life. All right, you guys, we're back, and this is seriously a very heavy topic. But before Andres has a lot to say as well, and his background about wastefulness is certainly something to discuss. But I do think that, I know we always hear that we could do things every day, but I would encourage you, if you're out there, be very conscious. I mean, why do we need to overeat, honestly? There's absolutely no need for it. It doesn't matter how good it tastes. Like, if you could just imagine somebody who just doesn't have it. And I'm not talking about some person that you think is on the streets doing meth, because that's not really the face of poverty. That's not, I wish people could get that vision out of their mind sometimes, because every year I used to work at the Pasadena Rescue Mission. And it's families. These are families who've just lost their jobs. They're out of work. They just can't make ends meet. And we live in, especially in California, I mean, it is so stinking hard to survive in California. I've thought about leaving so many times because the quality of life it's just very, very hard to maintain. And it doesn't really matter how much money you make or how large the income. It just seems like it's hard for the regular everyday person to manage. And then you have the flip side of it, where people really are just obese, and we deal with things like that are not hereditary or genetic issues. I'm not talking about a thyroid problem or diabetes or things that contribute. I'm talking about actual conscious overeating, just thinking that it's there whenever. And, I don't want my daughter growing up in a world that is so obsessed with just gorging yourselves on whatever. Greed. I mean, it's not just greed, though. That's not just greed. I mean, food intake is not greed. Food intake to me is this, a lack of conscious awareness. And it's, everybody's making a conscious effort. And I love having these wonderful meals. I really do. I'm very fortunate that I get to eat such exquisite food. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity. However, were I to do nothing and just enjoy eating great food and going to fancy events and not, and supporting, there's a lot of people who are struggling. And I know people who, even some of the artists that I talk to and have in here, these are actors and actresses, and I swear that they don't actually have enough to eat. They're struggling to do what they do. They're lucky if they have one square meal a day. And it's not just this impacting idea that it's people that are homeless on the street. These statistics, these world statistics for sure are not, the scary part is these are in developing countries. These are not in third world countries. And, these are not, it's very prevalent in also underdeveloped countries, but we're talking about completely functioning, highly advanced countries who have everything that they need in this job market and the economy to change the face of things. And then you have, meals like, there's G8 summits talking about what's happening in Africa, the situation where it's like the most neglected country in the world, or places like, North Korea that was literally being starved by their leaders it doesn't make any sense to me how that even happens in this world. And, and then we have here in America, like Keith and George were saying, we're in the most prominently rich, even though we're struggling economically, we're still at the forefront of being a rich country. And yet 1 out of 6 people are going without a proper meal. And I think that there's definitely a way to remedy that. So I just want to encourage you guys to start getting involved. And I really am going to make a point to organize something on a regular basis. And just, the events that I have, even though they seem all fancy, a part of everything that's spent for any of the events that I have, everything goes back to a charity organization, a nonprofit. And my passion is actually really has been about hunger and poverty and people that just don't have enough, and nobody's willing to extend the hand. And I don't understand that at all, because we really are supposed to be taking care of each other. And a lot of these situations with hunger lead to other issues, which a lot of them are mental health issues. People have serious anxiety. People are just kind of off on the deep end. I mean, we see violence running amok right now, and I think a lot of that has to do with people just struggling financially, and it's the stress of our lives every day that have nothing to do with, oh my God, I didn't get enough stuff on Twitter. Or I'm not even talking about stupid stuff. I mean, like actual stressful things. I mean, I've said this to you 1,000 times. I mean, I'm a single parent. Life is very, very hard as a single parent, but somehow I'm still like, I would sacrifice whatever I could for my daughter to have whatever she needed. And thankfully I can at least get her what she needs. I can't imagine thinking that she didn't have food, or that she doesn't have food. And then, and we're going to go back to your topic. And then there's a restaurant that's throwing away perfectly good food because they're worried about an impending lawsuit. And if there are people out there who are going hungry and you're going to sue somebody because you get sick, I'm sorry, you've been watching way too much. I don't even know what the new Judge Wapners would be, but we really need to step that up too. We have to change our level of gratefulness in this country and really in the world, because we all have to start taking care of each other, and there's no quick fix, but there has to be some long-term solution. And I know that kind of leads me to your topic, I think, about what you would like to discuss about how maybe things could change a little bit. Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, as I was saying, I love Spain. I lived there for a year. There's a festival there called La Tomatina, and it's the most absurd festival ever. They take hundreds of thousands of pounds of perfect, ripe,
beautiful tomatoes, actually.
The most beautiful tomatoes
they're like
ever.
The most perfect red, firm.
And what they do is for, a day or two or whatever,
throw them at each other.
They just have a tomato war. And it's fun. Yeah, it's fun as hell. But by the end, the streets are literally flooded feet of tomato juice and tomatoes that go to waste just to have fun for a few hours. And I think that should be like punished in some like world court of whatever that is.
This happens in Spain, where Barcelona has a huge issue with poverty right now and hunger.
Every country has poverty.
Yeah,
Every
but
country is
like,
hungry.
Yeah.
And you know what? I love Spain. I have friends in Spain, and I tell them, I think your festival is absurd. I think your festival is BS and should be terminated immediately.
I really appreciate that you're actually just saying BS, because you guys, he really asked me if he could cuss on the air, and I said no.
So they're very passionate about this, obviously, and they say, well, why? Why should we terminate it? Like, well, why can't you take those tomatoes and send it to West Africa? Or, you're even in the same neighborhood, there's people starving in your same country.
Right down the street.
Oh, so this is what they say. This is beautiful, messed up question. Answer. Well, we don't have money to send those tomatoes to other countries.
But you have feet.
No.
Bag,
but
you can
know
walk it.
Do you want to know what's even more ridiculous?
Ridiculous.
Thank you. So we don't have money to take great tomatoes, can them, and send them to West Africa. But we have money to take electronic waste and send it to West Africa as a donation.
Right.
So we get tax deducts because we're taking this laptop and I send it to West Africa. And if you Google e-waste in Ghana, you will see fields of computers and just electronic waste. And
Jeez.
so why is there money to send my laptop over there? Because I don't need it anymore.
But they can't send food.
Because a new MacBook just came, so I don't need this one because it's dated with just 2 years. So I'm going to send my laptop to Ghana, and I'm going to turn their country in a huge electronic landfill.
Wasteland, yeah.
But I can't send a can of tomatoes. So, that is maybe greed is not the word.
But that kills me, because this comes back to my issue with how that entire continent, that Africa, that whole situation in Africa is the most neglected area in the world. And they can let them suffer and not do anything about it, and then we're sitting here bitching about.
And
it makes me like
what is
so
messed up
infuriated.
is that is considered a donation.
I
I'm
know,
donating you my trash.
Yeah, here's your
Here
trash.
you go, and
but you
I
can't
get
donate
benefits from
food.
that.
But you can't donate food.
Exactly.
God forbid I actually nourish you and you don't suffer.
At least send a number 10 can of tomatoes with that electronic waste shipment.
Yeah.
And the saddest thing of this, for example, with the Tomatina Festival, is that other countries have adopted this tradition. And unfortunately, countries like mine in Colombia, we were conquered by Spaniards. And we have now just decided recently to celebrate La Tomatina in Colombia. Why the hell are we celebrating La Tomatina in a country that is not doesn't have
your tradition?
Right. And other countries have done that too. I just find it absurd, ridiculous, and I wish people would.
Well, I mean, there are countries really all over this world that are struggling, but I do not understand why things like that happen. Like, really, that's actually absurd to me. You could send computers, you can send all this crap that has no bearing to them. It's not going to help their situation at all. It's funny, George, who called, he's actually working with a king in Africa, a very, very small rural part of Africa, and they are working on this amazing design to give them clean water. And it allows them to fund that. Having that clean water allows them to end their issues. Really, like, truly be on their way to being empowered, not have such big issues with malaria, hunger, all of these things that are completely related to direct poverty and lack of things like clean water. And yet we take showers for 45 minutes.
Exactly.
This is the big issue. We'll not talk about the dishwasher issue. We have
we need
4 minutes left.
We need 1 more hour.
Maybe we'll have to have you come back when you're back from Colombia.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I like creating discussions about these type of stuff.
Yeah, they're important discussions to have.
If you go to my Facebook page, I have posted I've made some pictures like comparing our cultures with things that happen in West Africa. So one of the pictures that I uploaded is, this little kid with a bottle of like dark, messed up water contaminated with God knows what.
Oh, I remember this picture.
And then on the other side, there's a picture of kids with sprinklers and running around in the streets and just wasting water just to have fun.
Yeah.
And why are we raising our kids to have fun with water and things that we need? Why are we wasting this thing in just fun?
Because people have this idea and this concept that it's never going to run out. But that is the problem. People think that nothing's going to run out. They think that there's just going to be enough food to support the billions of people that continue to.
The other day I was having a conversation with a woman, very well educated, went to a great.
We have like 2 minutes left.
Went to a great college, is getting her MBAs. Brilliant woman, and we're talking about water waste, and she tells me, "What's the problem with water waste? Why are you so upset about it? Why is this a huge problem?"
God, that's the biggest wasteful thing.
And she says, "Isn't water infinite? Like, are you fucking?"
Oh,
I'm sorry about that.
Bleep.
Are you kidding me? How can you say that water is infinite?
Because people they think like the ocean, like it's just a big ocean, and I'm like,
but coming this from a
and
woman,
rain, and that it's just like, yes, these things are going to keep happening, but they weren't intended to have billions of people.
But what surprises me is that from a woman or a person that goes to a great college here.
Okay, wait, I have something even worse though.
Okay,
I saw, there's like these crazy houses, right? These people who just have insane amounts of money, and they just have houses with things just to have things. This woman built in her house a 24-hour running waterfall. just in a room that she doesn't even go to. And I thought, are you kidding me?
Is this water coming from the tap, or is it like a system that recirculates that same amount of water?
No, the issue is she wanted fresh water. And I'm like,
so a 24-hour open source of waterways.
I mean, I'm sure it gets recycled. Obviously we didn't go into the mechanics of that on the show.
Right.
I didn't, but and they didn't. We have 1 minute left. Okay, you guys, we have to wrap this conversation up. But if you want to continue it, why don't you go on Facebook and go to my page, facebook.com/A Taste of Dawn, ATOD, or facebook.com/ what is yours? Or just look up Andreas Dangond, ANDRES DANGOND, and I don't know because you had some numbers or something at the end of yours. But please visit us on the web. Let's have this conversation. Don't be afraid to tune in and talk. This is a really important issue. So if you have solutions, let's try to come up with something really amazing together. Thanks for tuning in again. And next week on Tuesday, we have David Minkin, the incredible magician who dispelled my cynicism. So we will have him in, and I'm looking forward to that. And you guys have a really great weekend. Do something great. Talk to a stranger. Please do something for somebody in need. Thanks, and have a really great weekend. And I'll talk to you guys on Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, this is your host, Dawn Garcia, on ATOD Radio, savoring life one moment at a time. Welcome, everybody. I'm Dawn Garcia of ATOD Magazine, and this is my brand new show, A Taste of Dawn, where we'll talk about everything related to savoring life. You can catch me on rantradionetwork.com every Tuesday and Thursday from noon to 1, where we're going to discuss food and wine, arts and entertainment, music, travel, leisure, and anything in between.